99% of drummers get stuck because they aren't taught what really matters to improve fast behind the drum set. So today, I'm going to show you the 9 tips that I wish I knew when I was just getting started on the drums. How these tips will make a bigger difference in your drumming than anything you've learned before. And I'll give you 3 step-by-step exercises that will improve your drumming from the inside out. This includes one to improve your timing and precision, a hand speed and endurance workout, and a diabolical coordination challenge if you're up for it. But I only want you to pick one to practice every day this week. More on why in a second, but before you choose which one is for you, let's break down each exercise. Let us know in the comments which one you're going to do. Work on it a little bit every day. And after a week, I want you to put that one away and come back to this video and work on another one for a little bit. So if you're dealing with sloppy playing or you can't get your timing precise, you feel like your beats are just kind of meh when you're playing, then this is the one for you. And what we're doing here is we're going to get our limbs really lined up and really clean. These are called unison exercises. The first thing to master before we get into the trickier versions of this that I'm going to show you is just literally playing unisons. Now, what is a unison? Unison strokes on other instruments are called double stops. It's when you play 2 notes at exactly the same time. So drummers, we tend to skip this and be kind of bad at it because we're taught flams so early, and flams are awesome. They sound great, but we tend to get them and then our hands do that. And we got to also learn to not flam. So check this out. Here's a flam. Here's unison. The reason this is so important is if you can't hit both of your hands completely together at exactly the same time, all your grooves turn to mush. They just kind of sound imprecise, sloppy. You can't really drive a band if you don't know exactly how close or far apart you're hitting your hands together. So how do you hear if you're flamming or not? Well, the thing you can do is play a flam as wide as you can. It's 2 notes. And once you're doing that, get them closer together. So that's still flamming, but it's pretty tight. So when you keep getting them closer together, you hear when it turns into like one single transient. Flam, not flam. So before we get into the exercises, you need to be able to do just one unison stroke, or is it strokes because they're 2 hands? I'm not really sure. One unison hit, just one where both your hands hit perfectly in time together. Until you've got that, don't even move on. So if this is the exercise you're choosing today, then you need to get a single unison stroke first. Once you get one, we put it into this exercise. So what I'm doing here is making sure both my hands are hitting perfectly together every single stroke without it drifting into that, right? What you really need to do at this stage to get this is, of course, first go slower, but really hone all of your attention just on your hands and watch everything with total awareness. That means turn your phone off, turn the TV off, and just sit there with a metronome and get that. Every time you don't play in unison, every time you flam, that's okay because that's data. And if you're paying that much attention, you can adjust without creating any bad habits because you're consciously fixing things after every stroke. And you can ask yourself, was it a flam or was it in unison? That was a flam. So what hand hit first? My left hit first. What was the reason? You can figure that out. Was the first hand that hit moving faster, or did it start closer? Did it start sooner? Did I start moving my left hand before my right? Or did they start at the same time and one traveled faster? All that sort of stuff you need to diagnose first until you can get both hands starting at the same height, coming down, starting at the same moment in time, traveling at the same speed so that they hit the drum at the exact same moment to get those unisons. Really important side note, don't do it on your snare drum. It sounds wacky. So if you're gonna play unisons on your kit, play across 2 elements, 2 drums, drum and a cymbal, etc. Pads are good for this sort of practice so you can really hear and just focus on how precise you are. Now our next exercise is where things get insane. Now the notation does not tell you to play both hands the whole time, but that's what we're doing. For this exercise, you are playing in unison every time. However, the hand that is noted, right or left, is the accent. But the really incredible thing you're gonna get from this is if you can keep one hand down and one hand accented without flamming, and instead playing in unison, then you're going to get so much precision out of this practice so fast, it's not even funny. So the general thing is to do this, not flam. See, that's right, 2, 3, 4, left, 2, 3, 4. But instead to play in unison, so it doesn't flam, but that one hand still is much higher, the other's lower, which means they start at different times, they go down at different speeds. See that? Here's what it actually should sound like. All right, let's ramp up the difficulty. We're going to be alternating which hand accents every other note. Again, all unisons like this. Another important note is that tempo does not matter. Precision does. Make sure you put that metronome as slow as you need to go to get it clean. Actually, the slower you go, the better. It's not about speed. Final challenge for you with the unisons is to mix up the groupings where the accents happen. Groupings of 3, groupings of 2, etc. And we're going to see some other ways to use that in a minute, but check this out. This all brings us to tip number 1, which is you need to fix your bad habits first. If you're noticing some bad habits in your playing and you're not fixing them, they're becoming harder and harder and harder to fix down the line. Because of the way our brains work, the way muscle memory works, the way you play the drums is the way you're going to keep playing the drums. If you find yourself flaming a whole lot and you just keep pounding out like playing fast and you're trying to play unison, you're trying to fix it, it's not going to work. The only way to reprogram is to, yes, you're going to make some flaming mistakes, but use that at a slow speed where you can correct as quickly as possible. The same thing goes for how relaxed your hands are, how precise your timing is when you're playing other patterns. If you're noticing some bad habits, some ways that you're playing that you don't like, you need to fix it immediately before it becomes harder and harder to change later. And if you want some help fixing your technique habits, then I made a completely free technique fundamentals guide. I'll make sure to put the link below. Importantly, these first 3 tips and all the rest of them too later, they all work together. So it's really important that you keep all of them in mind as you practice whatever exercise that you're choosing today. Tip number 2, practice fewer things, not more. This goes kind of hand in hand with making sure you're fixing the bad habits. If you're constantly kind of scattered in the practice room, oh, I'll work on this a little bit. Oh, I'll work on that. Oh, that was a cool fill I heard. Well, how do I play that fill? Well, let me learn that. Oh, shoot, I need to learn this song for this group. If your practice is scattered like that, then it takes 10 times longer to make progress. The fewer things you can do, the more you're able to hone, fix bad habits immediately because you're paying enough attention to that one thing. And you actually get better, faster, all the other stuff you're not practicing because you're honing something really foundational, fundamental, like unison strokes, like singles, like paradiddles, whatever it happens to be, you're getting better on a deep level and it's going to apply to all the other stuff you want to get to. So the fewer things you practice, but the deeper you practice them, the better results you're going to find throughout all the other areas of your playing that you're not even practicing. So tip number 3 is deeper practice is more important than more practice. Practicing for long hours, it doesn't do anything if you're just kind of playing along to some tunes and then you watch a video about this other fill that like, oh, I should really learn that chop, right? I want to learn chops. And then you get distracted by all this stuff. But if you spend 10 minutes going really deep with your technique and timing and the state of your mind, you're going to make more progress than 3 hours the old way. Here's the second exercise I've got for you. Remember, you're only allowed to do 1 this week. So this is a brilliant hand speed and endurance workout that I got from my friend Tobias Ralph. And it's very simple. We're going to take flam taps and extend them. It's a real speed builder. Check this out. Here's our flam taps, which of course is flam right, flam left. Right hand flam right, left hand flam left. We're going to take that. That's our groups of 2. Second step to this is learning, it's not on the rudiment chart, but flam, tap, tap, flam, tap, tap. And then it alternates right hand side, left hand side. So flam, tap, tap with right, flam, tap, tap with left. Check it out. If you've got those 2 patterns, we just start to mix it up. So we're actually going to do groupings of 7 involving a 2, a 2, and a 3, which means flam, tap, flam, tap, flam, tap, tap. Now, if you do that, flam, tap, right, flam, tap, left, flam, tap, right, right, you're naturally going to be raising your left hand to do flam, tap, flam, tap, flam, tap, tap, left, right, left. So it's right, left, right, left, right, left. Check it out. Right, left, right, tap, tap, left, tap, tap, right, tap, tap, left, right, left, tap, tap. A little faster. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Now for this one, really make sure that you have it clean. Of course, we're flamming, not playing and using like before, but make sure it's clean really strongly in time and play it once you have that at some like moderately fast tempos. And you're going to feel it's just a fantastic workout. Really good if you play on a surface with less bounce to really build up your endurance. That would go something like this. Here's like a speed you might want to like get to, and just stick around here if you have it clean and relaxed up to this point. My next tip for you, what I wish I knew when I was just starting, is to really make sure you're practicing smaller chunks of notes. That means groupings of 2, groupings of 3, groupings of 4, maybe stop there. Because A, the fewer things you practice, the better. B, the deeper you go with that practice, the better. C, that means you can fix bad habits that are contained in these smaller cells of notes. But D, all of drumming is built off of these smaller chunks. These smaller patterns are what you can use to build larger phrases. If you're talking about like learning a fill that's a whole measure long and there's 32 notes in there, well, guess what? All of those are groupings of 2s and 3s and 4s. Groupings of 6s can be made of like maybe a grouping of 3 that you practice and another group of 3. Or maybe that group of 6 is group of 4 and a group of 2. So all of that means that if you're working on perfecting smaller groupings, it really adds up into something special. So just flam, tap, 2, flam, tap, 2. It's a 4-note sequence only. This is kind of ironic because I just taught you a 7-note pattern. Really, it's 14 notes because it flips. 1, 2, da, 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 before it goes back to the beginning. So only get to that if you really have the 2 or the 3. And when you think of perfecting these small chunks and repeating them, going deep with them, become part of your vocabulary as a drummer, and you can just say them because these smaller chunks of notes, these are the syllables and the words that you're going to be using. So you really want to make sure you can nail these things. Think about how tricky it was to say the word lasagna when you were a little kid. You probably said it all goofy, but you kept going with just that one word until you could do it. And the same thing goes for drumming. Smaller words, smaller groupings of syllables. If you make sure you can nail them, that's going to carry with you for the rest of your drumming life. So I promised you a diabolical challenge, but seriously, only be working on this if the other 2 are already in your tool belt and you've got them down. I call this the 5-7-4 challenge, and I made it up a couple of years ago. It kicked my ass until I could do it, and wow, every time I practice this thing, it expands how comfortable I feel behind the kit, how confident I am, and I just play with better timing and coordination and flow as soon as I've put some time in practicing this exact thing. It's kind of like a tune-up. It's really incredible for expanding your mind. Let's break this down bit by bit because you don't have to do the whole thing this week. The first thing you need to know is we're going to be playing single strokes, but we're going to be accenting every 5th note. That means the right hand and then the left hand. So just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got that, then we have to put that into 16th notes. That means you're thinking 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, but you're accenting every 5th note in 16th notes. So the accents would be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and so on. It takes 5 measures of 4/4 to resolve before you accent the 1 again. If you count in 5/4, it actually just takes 1 measure. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 5E and a 1E and a 2E. So slow will be like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 5E and a 1E and a 2E and a 4E and a 5E and a 1. But we put those as accents during singles. Check this out. So this is the first step to getting this. So what we're doing is we're playing our hi-hat with our foot on the quarter notes while we accent every 5th, 16th note. If you can keep track of that and start looping it, you're in really, really great shape to hear so many more rhythmic possibilities, which means musical possibilities down the line. Next step is we're going to remove those accents, take them away. We're going to start adding our kick drum. But our kick drum is actually going to harken back to the flam exercise that I taught you with the 2-2-3. So our kick is going to play 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 like that. But we are keeping track of quarter notes and 16th notes. If I just keep time with quarter notes and play that kick pattern, which is 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, but in 16th notes we get this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3 da ba da 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 1 da ba da 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 1 2. But we're not done yet. We're now going to do single strokes with our hands. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Play the kick pattern against that. Which means it lines up with the right hand for 3 notes, then the left hand with 3 notes. After you can do that, we're going to add our hi-hat back on the quarter notes, which means 1E and a 2E and a, like so, but 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. You got to get it slow. You got to get it clean. This is an example of doing unison strokes between your hand and feet, like we kind of were doing before. And guess what we're doing next? Putting all that together. We've got our right, left singles with our hands. We've got the 7 grouping, 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. With our kick drum foot, our hi-hat foot is playing quarter notes, 1E and a 2E and a 3 4. But our hands are going to accent every 5 notes. It takes a while for this to cycle back to the beginning. If you can hear all of it and start to line it up until it feels good and it's going, you are getting so good at the drums so fast. It's incredible. So this is not for if you began playing the drums this year. This is more like what you should be working towards over the next couple of years, and just taking a couple of these ideas, like accenting every 5th note while playing your feet on quarters only. Getting all of it together, I want you to make sure you have all these other ideas really honed first before you add this. But if you are ready for this, then I really look forward to you sharing that video. So the reason this is so important, and what I want you to remember the whole time you're practicing, is that drumming first comes from your mind. It doesn't come from the drums. It doesn't come from the sticks. It doesn't come from your hands. It's your brain that is sending signals down to control your body to eventually make all this noise happen. Our minds, and working with that, it's what holds most drummers back. And it's what I personally help my students the most with, so that they can conquer their minds. So the more you think about it first from coming from your brain, and you're programming your brain to do stuff the right way, the faster you're going to start making progress, and it's going to be in leaps and bounds because of this type of focus. I seem really Italian when I'm doing this, and it's true, I am. I'm going to let you in on a secret to doing this, and that is you can practice the drums from anywhere. You don't need a drum set, don't even need sticks. All you need is your limbs, hopefully, and this. I've done my best practice, my most productive practice, typically at airports or on planes, because I'm maybe a little bit bored, and so I spend more time just working out ideas and working out coordination challenges just like this one. So that means I'm just tapping on my legs, I'm tapping my feet, trying not to bother the people around me, hopefully. It all comes back to how your mind is controlling your body. Therefore, as you're working this stuff out, you can feel your mind changing. You can feel your brain making new connections as you work out how to get this limb with that limb that was a struggle before, and you very slowly chunk it out in small groups until you can do it, and you can feel that your brain is making new neural connections. The most amazing feeling to me when you're practicing the drums. And if you can reinforce that correctly while fixing your bad habits, it means you get better so fast. It's just an incredible thing to do. So when you're working on that, feel, timing, groove, it's everything. Don't worry about speed, but rather worry about how does it feel. Just in terms of musically, does it groove and does it have a flow? Also, how does it feel to you internally? Again, going back to your mind. Are you feeling comfortable, at ease, or is there tension there that's kind of making things feel a little bit halted? If you can breathe and smooth out how you feel internally, then you're going to play much more fluidly as well. The point of all of this stuff, the point of the technique, the point of the coordination, the point of building up speed and endurance as well, is so that you have control, first of all, over your technique and over the things that you play. So you have facility and you have control. When you have control over the drums, so you can play exactly what you intend to play, you can say exactly what you intend to say, then it means you can express yourself completely freely, and you can think of something and you can play it. So the point of all this technical stuff is not to be technical, in my view, and be a really technical drummer, but rather to allow for freedom, to be artistic, to play freely with the band and express yourself, listen to the band and respond back and compliment them. And that can only happen when you're not stuck in thinking about what you're doing and trying to get stuff right. It's about taking these concepts and working through them on a deep level till they're automatic, till you can do them in your sleep. They can go on autopilot, any of the stuff that you can play. When I go to play that 5-7-4 challenge thing, I'm not thinking about it. It just kind of happens because I very, very carefully programmed my mind and body to do the actions, but also feel the rhythms and how they fit together. But it happens without thinking about it now, and that's where you want to get, so you can just make music and have a blast. Remember when I said to focus on fewer things and shorter patterns? Well, that only gets you so far if you don't know how to make those notes sound good. So watch this video where I'll show you my 3-note hack to making the most out of the things that you can already play.